All right, welcome everybody. My name is Tyler, and you are here witnessing the first ever Nerd Alert podcast. This has been in the works for a few months. I am joined by my co-companion, co-founder of Calling All Nerds, Max. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to meet you.
So, as kind of the title sounds, this podcast is geared towards the things that Max and I love, have passions for. Video games, anime, movies, entertainment.
Basically anything entertainment, yeah. Anything that you want to do every day, all day.
Yeah, so I guess since this is the first podcast, maybe we should do a background of us and maybe like where it began on our gaming journeys.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it.
So I started out with my first game that I ever played was, I'm pretty sure it was Mario on the NES.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, or Duck Hunt. The Duck Hunt Mario combo.
Oh, snap.
That was the first game I ever played. And that's what kicked it off for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think for me growing up, my first system that I ever witnessed living in the great outskirts of Alaska was a Nintendo 64. And I was at my friend's house and he got one for Christmas. And he was playing Paper Mario. And I saw it.
What? You started on Paper Mario?
I started on Paper Mario.
That's amazing.
I was like so uninitiated. Like I had no idea what video games were until I saw that. And I saw it. I loved it. I wanted it. And literally just begged for a 64 until Christmas of the next year when I got it.
That's such a bold game to start with. Because that had a storyline and dialogue and quests. Because like when I first played Mario, I didn't even know what storylines were. I was just like, you start here and you get to I didn't even know I had to save Princess Peach. I had no idea that was an objective.
Who's this chick in a pink dress?
I don't even think I got past World 2. So the fact that you started Paper Mario was a lot cooler than me. I don't know. I've been lost.
It's so funny because I've always been driven towards more story-oriented stuff. Yeah. So it's funny how that was my first game to kind of grab me because that's my favorite genre now is RPGs, like JRPGs, normal RPGs, whatever.
Yeah, no,
like,
for sure.
I'm all down for it.
Which, speaking of consoles, the big topic of the day for us is the PS5 and the 3080. Mainly their releases, or lack thereof releases.
Talk about a snafu. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so the PS5 was announced. It's Friday, the 18th of September. Mm-hmm. When was it announced? When was their thing? Wednesday?
Yes, it was Wednesday the 16th at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mm-hmm. So, like 1 p.m. in the Pacific Coast.
Yeah.
And honestly, it was a great conference. I really loved it. I was really bummed that Microsoft didn't get the chance to do something like that. I don't even know if they were planning to do anything like that.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why I'm such a Sony fan is like I really love the flair, the pomp and circumstance that they really bring to their conferences, and I loved every minute of it. It was absolutely great.
Yeah, it was. So I missed it. I watched it. I watched the clips of the things that came out of it.
Yeah. Was
it just game after game after game after game?
For the most part, it was. I mean, the conference was about 40 to 45 minutes. It was, to your point, game after game after game, and then finally at with little intermittent parts where the directors of whichever game are speaking a little bit more.
Of something.
Yeah, speaking more to the gameplay of the game and all that, and then finally at the end with this beautiful music. I loved the music in the show. They announced the prices for the consoles. The main console being $499 US dollars. That's with the disc hard drive for 4K, and then the digital edition, which was $399.
And that is the Xbox did $499 for their big one and $299 for their smaller
for
one.
The S. Yes,
okay. But I don't know. I could be wrong on this one. We know that the Xbox S is weaker. In the sense of it doesn't play 4K, it plays 1440, which is one step down, I guess, in a way. And then, so that was kind of justifying, also digital only. Do we know if the PS5 digital only has any corners cut?
I actually looked it up. The specs for both, to my knowledge, are completely the same. The only difference is the disk drive. So
storage size?
Storage size exactly the same.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't know if it's a full terabyte. I think it's like 900 and something gigabytes.
Some of it's taken to software, I think they said.
Yeah, some of it's taken to software, of course. But yeah, like that's the only difference. But it makes sense, without those components, the creation of the console of the digital edition is cheaper. So then it should be cheaper for the consumer. So
yeah, that makes sense why the Xbox still has the cheaper of it, which I think will appeal to people for sure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so the PS5 that happened, the conference. A lot of cool games were shown.
Oh my gosh!
The Hogwarts one looked pretty dope.
I'm so ready, man.
I was pretty excited.
How do you feel about it taking place in the I guess just in the 1800s? They didn't say if it was early or late, but
with the Hogwarts game, it's gonna be either good or like meh. That's how I'm seeing it. Because So I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, for those who might not know.
Oh
I reread the entire series every year around Halloween.
This guy, Tyler, is the biggest Hogwarts fan I've ever seen in my entire life.
And
typical Ravenclaw, just completely over the top. It's great. It's absolutely great.
And I appreciate that. And I think that I could see the combat being clunky. I could see the quest lines being repetitive. I don't know. I don't know too much about Portkey Games other than the app that they made, which was okay, but it's a mobile app that had a bunch of microtransactions, and I got bored.
Yeah.
And so I also think the voices are going to throw me off a little bit. Well, no, actually, no, I take that back. In the mobile app, they actually have some of the characters from like the books and stuff, so that threw me off because it didn't sound right in my head. But if this is a different time frame, then the voices shouldn't throw me off. But I don't know. I think it's going to be okay. I could also see just coming out and like bombshelling where like frames are dropping and like nothing's really rendering right.
Yeah, I agree. I could see it going either way. I am excited because this really is the first open world Harry Potter game that we've had, I believe, since like the main storyline games,
which were on PS2s,
PS3s. Nothing. As far as I know, I don't think anything in the last 5 years to the point of like an open world game. I could be wrong, but
unless Lego. When was the last movie? Because that would be when the Lego ones came out.
Yeah, the last movie was, I want to say it was like 2012, maybe something like that.
So that'd be like the most recent, probably Harry Potter game would be that. With Lego, I don't know.
Yeah, with Lego, they've been doing it forever. I'm excited for it. I think it's smart to do something it's sort of canon, but it has nothing to, like, this is way before Dumbledore. This is way before any character that we know or love.
Yep.
So it's kind of like starting at a clean slate, in my opinion. But I love the aspect, at least from what, we didn't really see a lot of gameplay in the trailer, but it seemed to me that, this was going to be, you go through your 7 years of school, and then you kind of just go out and explore the world, maybe in between the years of school, or maybe you even go past school and like into like a career and have to make choices. I know as a Hufflepuff and as part of 70% of the population, I love you out there, all Hufflepuffs. We are the majority, and we will conquer the world. And I think that I am very excited to be a Hufflepuff in this game. It's going to be great.
Oh, my goodness. So we saw more Miles Morales. We saw, which looked great. Which, hey, it looked like the first Spider-Man game.
Yep.
Not to discount anything. The first Spider-Man game was great. There's probably some new combat-y features here and there. Obviously, you're Miles Morales instead of Peter Parker. I'm glad, in a way, that it looks the same. Like, conceptually, the way it's, like, combat style, the engine, I like that that's the same. And I will be totally satisfied if, for the most part, it feels like Spider-Man. Because I know they're going to get the story great.
Yes.
Miles is going to be fun to play as. And that'll be enough for me to be okay with. There'll probably be maybe some new capture. What were those collectibles? There'll probably be maybe some new collectibles here and there.
Yep.
But I assume it'll probably be pretty similar to their first game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I definitely think that from what we've seen in this gameplay that they've shown so far with the action, definitely Miles has a lot more going on in terms of abilities.
Yeah,
the ability
gadgets
to
and stuff.
Gadgets. We see him use electricity.
Mm-hmm.
He can camouflage himself and hide himself. A lot of things that Miles Morales could do in the comics and in the movies. I'm very excited to play as him. I love that. Just even from the gameplay we saw, he looks like he moves differently than Peter does. The music is bombing. It's absolutely incredible. The voice acting looks great.
Oh, for sure.
And I was just so impressed with the graphics. One thing I think the thing I'm most interested in is to see how long the game is. Insomniac hasn't really said anything about that. But they did announce that the game is going to be $49.99, just standard.
Oh.
Or there will be
I missed that.
There will be an ultimate edition that is $69.99. Which I imagine the ultimate edition will probably have like a season pass included or something like that. Kind of like with the Amazing Spider-Man, or the first Spider-Man, I should say.
I saw a tweet that went out by someone. I saw a few. One, I saw somebody tweet out God of War 2. Oh, yes. Was that announced at all? Or
it was teased. It was
Gotcha.
the very last thing of the conference or of the event, and I got chills, man, because it was just Kratos, just like doing the voice. It was like, "You best prepare yourself." Just like I can't even do it, but like just the amazing chorus orchestra, and basically it was the Omega symbol in blue with the Nordic runes. And then it fades away, and it shows Ragnarok is coming. And so, I'm very, very excited. And then they said it's coming out in 2021, which I think was the
soon.
which was the biggest shock. I don't think anyone expected that game for at least until 2022.
Jeez,
but they were pretty confident to say this game is coming out next year, which, if that's true, next year is going to be insane, like an insane year for games.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was already that ready. I feel like a lot of companies, heck, Bethesda teased the new Elder Scrolls, and that's nowhere even near a release date.
When did they tease that? It was like
was it 2 E3s ago? I think
something like that.
It was the last physical one, which I guess maybe would have been last. No, I don't know if it was last one. Whatever that one was, that was a tease. I'm very surprised that they're already that confident. I'm excited because God of War is amazing.
Oh my god!
But I saw that get tweeted out, and then I saw a tweet of someone saying, "Oh great, you're gonna normalize $69.99." Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
So yeah, there was. You're correct. There was that tweet, and I believe Sony even confirmed, at least at launch, which honestly, this is probably just going to be the new default price for these games, is $70 to $69.99. They're raising prices of console games by $10
for definitives, or like just base games.
Base games.
Oh no. No.
I mean, trust me, I'm right there with you. $70 is a huge amount of money. $60 already was a lot of money, but at the same time, I know for me personally, like, we hear all these horror stories about crunch and about like these companies, these developers creating these games and just having complete hell weeks of just working day and night on making these games as perfect as they possibly can be.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. I'm kind of the proponent of like, I want to really give as much as I can for the art that I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. And so it's just something that we have to be aware of, is that, as consoles and as graphics and as games get bigger and better, the price tag is probably going to get bigger as well, and that's something that's going to be normalized.
Yeah, and I guess I could have the term wrong, but like consumerism comes to mind too. Demand for more games, because new games were like what, 30 or 40 before they hit the $60 jump.
Yeah, before they hit the $60 jump, and like you said, like with that $70 price point, that is for like first party games. They have confirmed that it's for first party games. Okay. So that price can vary depending on how many hours the game may be. Just like we see now, there are many games out there that are $30, $25.
A lot of indie games.
It's up to the developer. It's up to the publisher, or not the publisher, but it's up to the person creating the game to decide.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what comes out of it, but I don't know. So that was pretty much a lot of the big stuff that was happening for the event, and then they also had. Did they show any Ratchet and Clank again?
No, they didn't show any Ratchet and Clank, but there was
before.
There was one more big game that I would like to touch on, if that's okay. I know one of the other big ones was Resident Evil 8.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy one. So the Resident Evil one I heard of. Mm-hmm. That was talked about in, I think, some Japan event. I forgot what it was, but I know they've teased the Resident Evil. The Final Fantasy threw me off. I don't know anything about the Final Fantasy game.
So, yeah, Final Fantasy 16, that was the shock. It was kind of rumored that it would appear on the conference, ever since, a clip of an airship showed up in their, preview for the event. And people were, freaking out and were like, oh my gosh, Final Fantasy.
Okay.
And as we've already talked about right at the beginning, I'm a huge RPG fan. Final Fantasy is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. They announced Final Fantasy 16, and it looks very interesting. A lot of people... first off, it was the only game that they showed in the conference that they showed using PC. They had this... They showed this weird caption that said, this gameplay or this trailer,
which is
being captured on PC
for a PS4,
a PS5.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
or a PS5.
Yeah, it was very strange. And then, literally right after that trailer, there was another caption that said, "Everything else after this will be captured in PS5 gameplay or whatever." And I was like,
okay.
Okay,
that's interesting.
But basically, Final Fantasy 16 is being made by the creator of Final Fantasy 14.
Naoki Yoshida?
Yep, Naoki Yoshida. And so at first I didn't know that, so I was very confused at the character models, because the graphics for the game, a lot of it looks very beautiful, but when it comes to the character models, it looked very almost subdued compared to 15 and even 13. And yeah, I'm
looking. So I'm showing him a photo. It almost looks like the online game.
It is.
They're Realm Reborn characters. Yeah. It looks like they're just washed out.
The lighting is very odd. The lighting was not that great in the trailer.
It's weird.
Honestly, though, it still got me excited. At first, the first 30 seconds of it, I literally thought it was an expansion of Realm Reborn. I thought, this is the next expansion or something. And then at the very end, they showed with the big reveal that this is Final Fantasy 16. And that it was that this is a main game title being done by the team that did the MMO, and that would explain the graphics. But it honestly, and unless it's kind of fooling us with the trailer, it looked like the game was pretty far along.
Yeah. There was a lot of content that was shown in there for sure.
Yeah, there was a lot of content. You saw a lot of gameplay. There was no HUD, so I couldn't tell how if it was alpha or whatever. It looked very interesting because you didn't seem to have any kind of party. It was just you as this character. But they had completely dubbed voice acting for the scenes that they showed. So to me, it seemed like this was a game that's been in development for many years already. Or at least a year or two, to have that much content ready to show. And it looks dark as crap, man. This game is probably the darkest looking Final Fantasy I've ever seen. I'm talking, there's a scene where a knight is standing in front of this boy who I think is a prince or something. He's an important person. And this guy gets stabbed in front of him, and you just hear the scorch, and you see the blood spray all over this kid's face. And
Not holding anything back.
No, it's horrific. It was I was like, am I watching Game of Thrones right now? This is really creepy. And it was still really great. I mean, the story grabbed me. I was like, okay, this looks very high fantasy. This looks like kind of going back to the roots, which I was kind of excited for because honestly, I have not really loved a Final Fantasy game since 12.
I know you and I were talking about that earlier, about last week or something, about our Final Fantasy experience and the games that we liked. The combat, to me, kind of seemed like Noctis's combat in 15 a little bit. Like the way they were doing the sword play with the weird dashing and all that kind of stuff.
Fighting in midair combos.
Yeah, I noticed that piece was like kind of taken from... it was kind of taken from that game for sure.
Yep.
And I thought that was interesting. And then I also noticed... or you talk about the PC thing. I was wondering if they did the PC... because the PC release for 15 was so awful, whenever it got ported over, so it came out first on Xbox and PlayStation, or was it just PlayStation?
No, I think it was both.
When it came out for consoles, it was fine.
Yeah.
And then they had their port to PC, and it was awful.
Really?
Yeah, it got a lot of bad reputation. They had to do a lot of updates to it. Frames were dropping, like, it was really bad. So I almost wonder if maybe that's why they showed on PC.
They want to make
to
sure
be
it
like,
works.
hey, look, like this is going to be launched on PlayStation 5 and PC.
Right.
And that's our mindset right now. Because I don't know maybe if they were even thinking it would be PC at the time, you know, for the 15 at least. Maybe they were just thinking, oh, we'll see how it goes. People love it. Oh, let's port it over. So this could be their way, like Square Enix way of saying, hey, here's PC footage. Look, it doesn't drop to like 10 frames.
I would not be surprised, man. I think you hit the nail on the head. I kind of agree. I think, too, that, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how it goes. I kind of like that they're going a different route than 15. It definitely looks like they're keeping some of the combat style, but this is a completely different engine, it looks like. It's not the Luminous engine. And if you know, and honestly, like to my last point of what was shown, you know, at first I was very dumbfounded by the graphics. I was like, why does this look so? Why does this not look as good as 15?
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh snap! Like Square Enix has two different teams working on titles right now, because yes, the 14 team, that director is working on 16, while the main team is working on Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2.
Oh, that's true.
So that main team is probably for the foreseeable future just working on remaking Final Fantasy VII, and that's where all the graphical quality, that's where like the big budgets are going toward.
Yeah, I could see that. And maybe, hopefully, like the team who's working on it, the Realm Reborn team, you know, that's not too bad, because storyline-wise, I hear that their expansions for the MMO are amazing. People love them. They say the story's like really good. It's one of the few MMOs that I actually hear people care about this, other than WoW. It's like one of the few MMOs I hear about where people are like, oh my gosh, the storyline was so good.
Yeah.
So hopefully that translates, because that was the biggest thing for me on 15. I just couldn't get into the story. I didn't like Noctis. I didn't like any of that.
15 was very bare bones, man. Yeah, I was not happy with it. The gameplay was fun, but it was finicky. It was overall
interesting.
It was very interesting.
And yeah, so then we have Village, Resident Evil Village, which is, I love how they did Village being VIII
with the
like
8. Yeah. Very clever.
So Resident Evil 8 or Resident Evil Village. That looks pretty intense. I feel like we have gone beyond the realm of zombies too in these like Resident Evil games,
which I love.
I feel like now it's just like monsters and crazy cults. Because like right
druids
now,
and whatever.
Right, I just googled Resident Evil 8, and one of the first things I see is Resident Evil 8 werewolf zombies. I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Pretty much, yeah.
And like the last one that they had, Biohazard, was just that crazy family that was like, I don't know, it was like possessions or something.
It was very Chainsaw Massacre-y. Yeah,
that one was scary. So yeah, that was a big one. I forgot they showed some more gameplay for that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're meshing, which I'm excited about. They're meshing Final Fantasy, Resident Evil 4 with Resident Evil Biohazard. It almost looks like they're taking the kind of like culty, weird village in the middle of nowhere, off in the darkness from 4, and mixing it with that first-person view that was so proficient in Biohazard. Yeah, and I'm kind of here for it, man. I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, I was a big Resident Evil fan for the first few. Did I play 1? I don't know if I played the first one, but I did play the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. I think I did the fifth one, and then I kind of started dying out after the fourth, though. So I'm hopeful because I watched gameplay of the seventh one, Biohazard, right? Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
I watched gameplay of it. I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. I've kind of changed my mindset on what a Resident Evil is now, though, because like before it was all like, it still is, but like the virus and you have like the Umbrella Corp and stuff. And I kind of feel like they're going a little bit different. Like those are still prominent. You still have the zombies, you have the infection, Umbrella Corp and stuff, but I kind of like that it's doing its own thing too and like trying to evolve almost to say like, let's be a little bit more than just, oh, you're trapped in a house, here's some zombies, go do some missions. I kind of like that it's like psychological and there's like some like mental stuff going on, and I'm here for it too. It should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm always up for series kind of evolving itself into something new. So
Yeah.
I would say I'm not the greatest knowledge person for Resident Evil.
Yeah.
You definitely know more than I do, but yeah, I think I would play this one. I think it would be really fun.
And so I think that was it, right? For the most part, did we miss anything else?
For the most part, I mean, there was a few other
Small.
games like Call of Duty, Cold War, and stuff like that. But honestly, those were like the main things that I thought would grab our attention.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah,
And then right after, they had the release of the console. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Because they didn't announce that the consoles were going to go for sale on these websites.
right. They just did. Yeah. They right after the conference, there were a lot of announcements from multiple people in the industry, just saying things that weren't said that honestly should have been said during the conference itself. Stuff like Spider-Man is going to be PlayStation 5 launch. Same with Demon Souls.
that was
I mean, people know it, but like, the graphics look incredible.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it. It looks so good. Blue Point can just keep remaking games as far as I'm concerned. Just like little things that like should have been in the conference. And eventually they were saying, pre-orders will be up tomorrow. But Walmart and Target were already selling doing their pre-orders.
That's what happened.
And so a lot of people got really upset because pre-orders were completely out of stock. Like they were completely gone by the time PlayStation said they would be ready, and people were livid.
See, I didn't know that they said you could start it tomorrow, and then those retailers started going. Today.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it's hard because with retailers, I'm sure there was some kind of miscommunication, but they just immediately just started going. They were just started selling these systems, and they sold out like hot takes. It was insane. And honestly, it's really not that big of a deal. They're going to get back in stock within like the next week or two. Honestly, Walmart already has brand new stock that they're going to be putting on pre-order. I think it's 6 probably already, and it's probably already sold out again.
Yep. I know Target was doing it throughout the day.
You know that Sony is looking at these pre-order numbers, and that it's kind of giving them an idea of what they need to do for their production for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Although, it was complete chaos. It was for like the last 24 hours. It was insane. And I kind of liked it because Microsoft kind of clapped back on their Twitter, and they're like, don't worry.
Yep.
We'll let you know when you can pre-order.
They did.
And I was like, ooh.
Microsoft gave a time.
Okay.
They gave locations. They said the worldwide release. Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah. And they handled it way better.
That was pretty funny. And then, crazy enough, after the PS5, on the 17th, which was Thursday, the NVIDIA graphics cards came out for release, and they too were a bombshell of a release window that people absolutely hated.
What happened?
So the 17th, they gave a time at least, so it wasn't like PlayStation where they said, hey, it's tomorrow, oh wait, but it's today for like Target and stuff.
Yeah.
NVIDIA launched their thing saying, hey, on the 17th at 9 a.m. Eastern time, and then obviously whatever time it is for the other zones, you'll be able to buy the graphics cards, and they don't have it. If I'm not mistaken, it's not like PlayStation and Xbox where it's, hey, you can start pre-ordering here, but they release in November. It was just like you could just buy them, like so you're good. You can just get them, right?
Yeah.
And so I sat on my computer and I had 5 tabs open. I had a Best Buy tab, a Newegg tab, NVIDIA's actual website, EVGA, which is a third-party graphics card company, and then Amazon. I don't know if I've already said that, but I had a few tabs open, and I was refreshing. I was refreshing a little bit before, and then I was refreshing a little bit later. So EVGA's website's crashed. I couldn't refresh anymore. Newegg's website crashed. I just couldn't refresh anymore. So then I was left with Best Buy, Amazon, and NVIDIA's website.
Oh my gosh.
And then Peter, who was my roommate, we were refreshing it. It literally said coming soon as the text, and then all of a sudden just went to sold out. We didn't even see an add to cart button. And we're not the only people who didn't see an add to cart button. Apparently, there were bots and a bunch of, some lucky people who got the refresh at the right time that were able to buy these, but a lot of it was bots. So from what I found, which are pretty interesting, there is a company where you can actually pay money and they will let you have a script or some type of code that you get to run, and you can have it look for websites and add things to your cart. This was designed for the sneaker business apparently too. It's like $75 a month.
For the Jordans.
I think the company's called like Bounce or something like that. But you can pay for this software you type in a website, I guess, and say, hey, I'm looking for this product, buy it when it comes. Obviously the software can just do refreshes a little bit better than we can. And so that's how some of them were being bought. The other ones, which this one is pretty ingenious in my opinion, some people were going to those websites where you build your own PC, you pick out the parts. They were picking out all the parts beforehand, minus the graphics card, saving their cart, and they were doing this like weeks in advance apparently. And then come day of launch, they were opening up their tab that they had their cart saved, and all they had to do was just select the graphics card and hit checkout. And so these people were like prepped to buy these PCs, like all-in-one builds. And it's been nuts. So bots were doing it. These people were like prepping forever. Some people were standing outside of Micro Centers for like all night, and they were getting up. Like it was crazy. And so many people that I read from on Twitter were just like, I didn't get it. It just turned from coming soon to sold out in seconds. It was wild. It was so wild. So needless to say, I didn't get one like I was hoping.
Well, and I was going to ask, because for the audience out there, I'm entering into the PC world slowly but surely. Tyler, being such a great friend, has introduced me to the best way to game, apparently. I have no idea about anything PC. I just bought a Dell computer. It's on its way. I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to see that, honestly, consoles are inferior, apparently. But for someone that knows specs, I wanted to ask, what's the big deal with this graphics card? I mean, how often do graphics cards get released, and what is the big wow factor for this one?
So for this one, I'm not going to call it a lie because it's not a lie. They claim that the highest tier graphics card of the previous series is the 20 series. So the 2080 Ti was the top of the line. And they were claiming that their 3080, which was the one that released yesterday on the 17th, was double that. When I say double the performance, it was going to be like just as good as the 2080 Ti, but double it. That's not 100% true. It is double for some games. They said it was doubled for like Minecraft and another one. So I don't want to say that it's a complete... I don't know. Saying it's a lie is a little harsh, but it is better. It is a lot better. And a lot of it comes down to the price tag.
Okay.
So the 2080 Ti comes out at about $1,400 to $1,500 when it first released. The 3080, which does perform better, or at least on par with it, was $699. So your price to performance was insane for this new graphics card. And when you read the tests, I was looking at a couple people's performance that they had, and I might have it flipped, but the 3080's 1440p resolution was getting the same frames as the 2080 Ti's 1080p resolution.
Oh, wow.
So like that was like a big jump, right? So it's
Yeah.
like their 4K obviously was a lot better.
Yeah.
Their 4K play was like really amazing, which is a big thing for this one too. But it was like, wow, your 1440 is like what we would do on 1080p on
Yeah.
the old cards. And a lot of it's price per performance. It's half the price. And so like I don't know the exact numbers that people use to calculate it, but they're like, oh yeah, this performance per dollar is like a lot more than the
A lot more
2080.
bang for your buck kind of thing.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
for $699, when people are paying thousands of dollars for these graphics cards,
That's
it's like,
crazy.
yeah. And so that was a big thing. And then, and I think that price is a big thing of why people were so going into it. So far, they've announced 3. There's a 3070, an 80, and a 90.
Okay.
And the 90 they call the BF GPU for like big effing GPU. It comes in at either $1,400 or $1,500, but it's insane. The specs are just insane. I'll leave it at that because it's a big card. So they have that one, but the pre-orders haven't started for it yet.
Okay.
And then the 3070 they claim performs just like the 2080 Ti's as well. So not double, but they perform as them for $499.
Which is super low price.
Which is crazy. And so I think one thing, though, why the 3080s did like they did was because there wasn't that buffer, right? Like, you didn't have people who were trying to also buy the 3090. You didn't have the people who were also trying to buy the 3070. And a lot of it are scalpers, people buying it and trying to resell them on eBay,
Yep.
which I have a funny one about that I'll get to. And so some of those people may have been geared to maybe buy some of the others graphic. Like there wasn't enough product out for them to be able to like have more of a 10-second window before it was sold out.
Yeah.
Like you see with the PS5. The PS5 had its weird pre-order thing, right? And it was gone, and people are like finding PlayStation 5s and they're going away like right away after like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And same with this. It's just the 3080 that was out, and so people were buying them like crazy. I don't know.
Insane.
It was wild.
Golly. You think?
But what
Yeah.
is it?
Oh no, I was gonna say I just can't believe that happened for both
I know.
the system and the graphics
Right,
card.
day after each other, right after
Yeah.
each other.
You'd think we'd have a better solution for something like this.
That's what I would think too. But one funny thing. So people are on eBay, scalpers trying to sell these cards. It's the best thing in the world. Some of these cards, they're mostly on bid. Because
Okay.
people are trying to get their highest bid for it. There is a guy who I saw on Twitter that said, I created a bot to bid on every 3080 on the eBay market. And so the price tags are like 80 and 90K, but he's not going to pay, like it's not going to go through.
Yeah.
It's a waste of a listing,
Right.
So his bot is going around to get all these scalpers and just outprice it so that it won't even sell.
That's hilarious.
So NVIDIA made a statement, and I don't know how they'll do this, but they've made a statement saying that they're going to try to assess the orders for legitimacy.
Okay.
And I don't really know. No, excuse me. I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't get how they can figure that part out, but they said they're going to try to find the legitimacy of these orders, maybe cancel some that they think are bought. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
So weird, man.
Yeah, that was a weird release. But yeah, It was funny that right after the PS5, the graphics card also did the same. Shambles.
What a release week, man. That's just 2020 for you, man. Like this year is just like everything just blowing up.
It's so bad.
Oh my gosh.
But there's still good in this world,
There is.
like Night City Wire.
Oh my gosh.
Night
episode
City Wire
3.
that came out today.
Wow,
on the 18th.
what a great transition.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. You were born for this. You got this. You got this. That's why you're a Ravenclaw. That is why you're a Ravenclaw.
Oh, I appreciate that very much. So we saw some cool things. Biggest thing being the gangs, which there's 8 gangs in this
Dude,
thing.
I love this so freaking much.
So we have the Moxie, Tiger Claws, Valentinos, Maelstroms, Wraiths, 6th Street, Voodoo Boys, and Animals.
I'll tell you right now, Voodoo Boys is the one I'm going with. Voodoo Boys all the way.
It looks cool.
Oh my gosh,
They
I
look
love
cool.
the idea of being hackers.
Yeah.
That they're just living in the underbelly of Night
Yep.
City. You never see them, but they always see you.
Yep.
And one day, like I think there was text even in that video where they were saying like these guys are trying to break this. I forget what they called it, but it was some kind of wall.
Mm-hmm.
If they break into this wall, we're effed. like the corp is done. And I'm just like, oh snap! Like I kind of want to be part of this group. Like it'd be so cool.
So I have a great question then. So how do you feel about the fact that you can't join them per se?
Honestly, as a completionist, I'm kind of refreshed by it. Because I know there's going to be multiple routes. Everything you do in this game, as CD Projekt Red has shown in Witcher, if you really want to see everything, you're going to have to play the game multiple times.
Yeah, for sure.
Like every action has a reaction.
Yeah. Well, even just the starting zone.
Yeah,
So it's like
this
3 different.
Right, the 3 different
Yeah.
styles that you play as like Nomad, Street Kid, and I forget the corporation. Corpo. Yeah, thank you. And I'm kind of glad that there's not an extra level of intensity to that. I like that you are part of the Mercs. You're part of this.
Yeah. You are part of a crew.
You are. You're not a gang per se, but you are this corporation almost into of itself, it seems like, of Mercs that are hired the most. They're hired guns. They are the strongest in the city, at least from what it sounded like in the video.
Oh, for sure. I don't know the guy's name, but the guy who was like announcing him said, "Hey, you can't join these, but like don't be
still be
sad.
hired by them, or at least you
still
can
work with them and all that kind of thing."
Yeah, or like you may even have to work against them because as Mercs, your only loyalty is to yourself and to your job and to the money.
Yep.
And so I love the idea of just kind of engaging like 6th Street or Maelstrom and just taking them to town. It would be very interesting to see if you could wipe out any of these gangs and see how that affects the world.
That's a good idea too, or a good thought. Because I wonder if there is going to be some type of winner per se amongst the gangs, or if
depending on your actions.
Yeah,
it did seem like with Night City, the way they introduced the gangs in the video, it did seem like each one after the other in like increments of 2 were against each other.
Correct. And they were so they took the city, there was like a map, and there was like red kind of like spewing out, kind of showing like, hey, this area is these 2, this area is these 2, and then like even the outskirts had like their 2 gangs.
Yep.
Yeah, that looks really interesting, and I like the idea of all the side missions that could come out of it. But I also like the non-mission stuff that could come out of it.
Yeah.
Because I know that they were talking about kind of towards the end that they don't want it to also just be like you can do main story, you can do side quest. We want you to experience the city for what it is. And it'll be so fun to kind of see like you walk into like the Valentino area and kind of like maybe the interactions that you have with people, side dialogue and stuff. But then if you go into like 6th Street where there's supposed to be these weird like patriotic kind of like people on the outskirts, it'll be totally interesting to see. I don't want to do missions. I just want to walk around. I want to hear conversations. I want to see what people are even like doing in the world and stuff.
I want to go to that dance club that they showed.
Yes. Which they were wearing VR goggles, which I thought was interesting too. They were like dancing around with like VR goggles.
And you look like you can like dance with people.
It was so weird.
Yeah, I will say this. I love CD Projekt Red. I think that they are taking the gaming world by storm. I think they're taking companies like Bethesda and really big open world gamers like companies and kind of just taking them to task and just being like, y'all gotta keep up or we're gonna outrun you.
And that's a great point because it's like, this could be a good thing for these companies. Like, I've been pissed at Bethesda since Fallout 4. Well, post Fallout 4 they had some weird stuff with like pre-order things. Then they did the weird 76 thing, which was awful.
Yeah.
They barely were talking about a new Elder Scrolls. Their ESO stuff was fun, but then like it wasn't what people were really fully wanting. And like maybe something like this could drive a company like that to do better. That's what happened with Obsidian.
Yeah.
Right? Obsidian did New Vegas. They said, no, we're good. We don't watch anymore. Motivated the heck out of them. They made a killer game, Outer Worlds. worlds. They're already working on what we think is a Skyrim quote unquote like game. And so maybe Cyberpunk doing this, saying, yo, this is a game. This is how you do it. There's no micro BS. You pay $60.
I love it.
And hey, you pay $60 on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One.
Upgrade it to the PS5
for free, whether you're physical or even digital. They said
incredible.
even physical copies will give you. I don't get it.
Yeah.
They're just good. They're just good.
It is amazing to me how much goodwill that they have with their consumers. And honestly, for all studios out there listening, which I don't know if you would be, it's our episode 1. Who knows? Who knows? But being anti-consumer can only take you so far. Yeah. I feel like at some point you're going to lose faith. You're going to lose goodwill. And you kind of see it as like, I mean, EA, for example, has been named like the worst company in the world for like how many years running now? And it's like at some point something's got to give. Something's got to change. And CD Projekt Red from day one has been so, at least to my knowledge, has been so consumer friendly, has been so for the gamer, and just so dedicated to creating these amazing games, these amazing worlds.
Yeah.
I love Witcher 3 is probably one of my favorite games of all time, and I will never forget. And it was such a simple touch, but it meant a lot to me as a gamer. Like opening that case of Witcher 3 and getting that written out note, like obviously it was like a copy and paste kind of thing, but still a note.
In the physical copy.
In the physical copy. It came with a note, like a letter from the director of the game saying, thank you for buying this game. Like we put so many hours, so many years into developing this. Please enjoy it to its fullest capacity and thank you for supporting us.
That's dope.
That meant a lot to me as a game. I was like, I'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
And I was like, I kind of hope they do that with Cyberpunk. I mean, I mean, we're in a digital field now, but it would be so cool if, like, when you're downloading a game or even when you're booting up a game, if you could get like this like text that says "Thank you for supporting our developers."
That would be dope. I would love that.
Yeah, and I mean, because like at the end of the day, kind of going back to what we were talking about with the price tag of $70, it's about supporting our developers. It's about supporting these people that are working their butts off day and night to make these incredible games, and these games get better and better and better. We would not have had God of War if these people did not give everything. And I agree. I think that games like these, games like God of War, games like Cyberpunk, demand for their adversaries, for their competitors, to move up. And it's healthy competition. It makes everyone better.
Yeah, constructive criticism, almost in a way.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, we're doing better than you in our reviews. What do you think that means? Like, what should you might change in your game or something? Or like, when you see people give flack to games with microtransactions, why would that motivate you to want to have microtransactions, right? Or if you see someone complain all the time about, oh, I really hate this feature. I love that they don't have this in this game. Okay, maybe we shouldn't put that in our game anymore. Yeah, it's all interesting about money. For sure. Yeah, it is interesting to see CD Projekt Red, the Night City Wire stuff. This is their third one, so it's really cool to see them doing these little splurges of stuff. They're reaching out to their communities, so a lot of, at least from what I know, a lot of Twitch streamers and like kind of, I would say, famous entertainers in the space of gaming are inside the game. They have character models, they have quest lines,
Alana Pierce is in there, I saw.
Yep. And then like Jesse Cox is in there
yes.
too. So it's like they're reaching out to their community because the community plays the games. And then, when you see these characters yourself, you're like, oh, that's so cool. Like I've, Co-Carnage is a Twitch streamer that I've looked up to since like 2015 and he's in the game. Yeah. And like when I see him in the game, I'm gonna be like, holy crap, this is amazing. Like he's here. And then they have Keanu Reeves, which is he's
huge.
In 2020, if you're watching this or listening to this years from now, 2020 is like a big year for Keanu Reeves. Everybody's just talking.
2020. Yeah.
True, yeah. Everybody is just talking about Keanu Reeves recently. And so the fact that he's in this game is also going to appeal to some consumers too. It's like they just know how to reach the community. It's like, just do that.
Even when they showed, and forgive me if I have the term incorrect, like I said, PC virgin here. Create the people that they did a contest for them to create they were so cool. What was the name of it that they're creating? They're building.
They're building the cases.
The cases.
Thank you. The case for the PC. They had a competition.
So cool.
Oh, and the cool it was 1,700 applicants that went into it, and then they chose 5. They narrowed it down to 5, and those 5 got to get theirs made. Like they actually had. They worked with another company and they helped make it to the fullest extent that they could, because one of the PCs had like legs and it crawled around. They didn't necessarily make it move like it did, but they made it have legs. Like they tried to take the envision of what you had and make it into that case, and it's so cool. It's so dope.
You know, I didn't even really think about it until we're talking about it here, but you're right. I've never seen another studio reach out to their community and do these types of things as CD Projekt Red does, and it just shows another area that they are so far ahead than their competitors. It's like when you think of video games and you think of studios, you think hush hush, you think silence,
everything's quiet.
You think nothing can get said unless it gets leaked, which happens 90% of the time now. Like no one say anything, don't say anything until it's time to reveal the big trailer.
Surprisingly, like,
and they've been super, and it's like that's how it just seems like that's how the ecosystem of gaming has been for so long. And I just love that CD Projekt Red is coming out and it's like, no, we want our community to be a part of this, to live in this world with us. And just from these episodes that we've watched, to your point, just walking around, this looks like a world that is lived in. Like, we're going to be walking through these streets. People are going to be cussing at us. They're going to be pointing guns at us if we walk down the wrong alley.
There's, like, slum areas.
There's, like, red light districts. There's, like, really, probably really nice rich areas where, like it's vertical. You literally, like, if you want to get somewhere, I think they said in the video, like, you got to figure out how to get there, because everything's not just like a straight and narrow.
You compare it to
climb.
You're not on a hilltop and see a castle in the distance.
Right,
That's how he was talking about it. I was like,
you see a sky rise. Like you have to figure out a way to get up there. Like going through different territories. Take this elevator here. Take this escalator here. Like, how do you get up these vertical landscapes? And
I think the
so
role play
brilliant.
aspect of the game will be fun. Of just chilling, really getting into your character and being like, I could see someone making like a drunk that just like meanders around and just like maybe like does a really sloppy job but doesn't care. There's just so many like role playing aspects that I think is gonna be great for, again, like entertainers, like YouTubers and Twitch streamers and stuff, like to really like sell their character and do fun things. And
you know what's crazy is that in 8 weeks we're going to have this game in our hands.
I know.
And we're going to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, that's wild to me. That's so wild. You know what also is wild? Wait, was September 18th? What was the original release date? The 22nd?
I want to say it was like, no, I think it was even March. Wasn't the original
Oh,
release
that's
date
right.
March?
That's
when
right.
Keanu Reeves was like, check this out.
Cyberpunk.
You're all beautiful.
Oh my gosh, that was an interesting.
Yeah, I think it was like March 21st or something, and then you're right, they delayed it to September.
Yeah, it has been delayed again. It's moving to September 17th. Dude, we could have had this game yesterday.
Oh my god,
that's so crazy.
That would have been the best episode one.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what? I'm fine with it. I never care if a game gets delayed, as long as it is in its best shape it can possibly be on release. Like, delay it as many times as you want. I honestly, the what? Yeah, do what you got to do. Like
April 16th. That was
oh yeah, that's right. April 16th. It got delayed to September 17th,
and then
November 19th is the new date. Right in time for Thanksgiving.
Which, hey, that's May, June, July. That's that was a big jump from going from April to September.
Oh yeah,
it's really not that bad going just 2 months. That's an easy wait. Which most people have been waiting for this game for years, so it's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and honestly, it just gets me more excited the more I see of it. It'll be interesting to see if they do another Nightwire. I don't. Did they announce if they're doing a 4th one?
Yeah, I don't remember, because I watched up to the game console part, and then and then after they talked about that, I just cut it off.
Yeah,
and so I don't know if they announced anything else. I could see them doing something because it is September. They might have like an October thing,
right? Like one a month, which they've been doing.
Yeah. So I could see in October, and then November is just wait for the game to come out. So I wouldn't be surprised, but they've been announcing these like Night City Wires through their Twitter and stuff, and they're giving you a few weeks in advance. So we might see something here in a few weeks that talks about it, which will be cool to see.
Yep.
But yeah, so the big thing here, you're creating a world. That's what it is. It's like you were saying, they're making a world that you can
and you shape
live
your destiny in
a
it.
way. Yeah. Which is wild, and open world games are fun, and I love them.
I love it too, man. I love getting lost in these worlds. It gives me so much anxiety already to think about, as a completionist, how many things I could possibly miss. But, it takes a truly great game to kind of take that out of you and just kind of realize you are now this character, you are living this life, and it is shaping the way that you choose to shape it. And so you're going to see what you need to see.
Yeah.
You're going to see what you find, what you discover. And I'm excited about the unknown. Part of me wishes I could see everything, but I just know that's not possible.
Yeah, because that's it, right? You miss things, and you miss it because that just wasn't your path.
Right.
If you're a good guy, you're not going to see the bad guy stuff.
Yep.
Right? If you're bad, you're not going to see the good stuff, and so it is what just kind of happens.
I will say this for the show. If you're going to go the path of Nomad, I honestly feel like I should do something different so we can both get different points of view.
True. Yeah, you were thinking you want to do the Nomad one for which was the outskirts people, correct?
Yeah, I kind of liked it because I just like the Mad Max vibes of it.
Hey, I'm cool with that.
Honestly, though, if you want to do Nomad, I'm kind of interested in doing Street Kid.
That was the one. That was my first pick. Is the Street Kid.
Well then, no, we're right. I want Nomad. Yeah.
I kind of like the Street Kid vibe for sure. So yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah. We can talk about our experiences, kind of as we travel the world and kind of compare what we've been seeing and such. So that'll be fun.
Oh yeah.
So Cyberpunk, 2 months and a day as of today, which will be fun. But unfortunately, one thing that won't be coming out anytime soon.
Gosh, you were killing
Beyond Good and Evil 2.
It.
So I had some news, which I know nothing about this one. So Max will be taking care of most of it. I will just kind of briefly say that apparently the director of Beyond Good and Evil 2 is piecing out, not just of the game, the entire industry.
Yes. So I read this originally on IGN, but I have an article pulled up from Shack News as well. And this is about Beyond Good and Evil 2 director Michel Ancel is leaving Ubisoft and the industry to... It kind of makes sense based off the games he was working on, but is becoming... focus on his second passion, wildlife. And so he's basically going to create, which is so cool, is creating a wildlife open sanctuary dedicated to education, nature lovers, and wild animals.
I think it's so crazy.
Yeah, it's such a cool thing. I wish him all the best. It's very much... I wish we had more people that would be wanting to do stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's so cool. And it kind of makes sense to see his personality shine through in his games. He was working on Beyond Good and Evil 2. He did Beyond Good and Evil 1, I believe. This other game that was in development hell for the last 10 years, Wild or whatever, which we just kept seeing just random screenshots.
Gosh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, no one knows anything about that one. I think we just...
I didn't know he was working on that one too.
Yeah.
So I guess it really does make sense. He's in tune with nature for a while.
Yeah,
sure.
He loves it, and I'm all for it, man. The nice part is he did announce in his Twitter message and he says this, and I quote from Michel Ancel: "Many of you might want to know what will happen to Wild and Beyond Good and Evil 2. No worries, since many months now, the team are autonomous, and the projects are going super well. Beautiful things to be seen soon." And so basically to just reaffirm for everyone, hey, these games are still going to happen. They've been happening a lot without me as I've been building this amazing sanctuary for all the monkeys and all the pigs and all the people in Beyond Good and Evil 2. And
I just brought my game to real life.
Right. That's all I care about now, which is totally great. That makes me a little more comforted, but honestly... Going past that announcement, I honestly have no idea when we're going to see this game, dude. Like this game, don't get me wrong, I love anything talking animals. Like I'm all for it.
Yeah, for sure.
I loved the first Beyond Good and Evil. It was way ahead of its time, in my opinion. And when we saw the announcement trailer, I think we watched it at the same time, actually, when they announced Beyond Good and Evil 2, and you see this beautiful CG trailer.
So cool.
And I was like, this is a world I want to be in right now.
Yeah.
I want to play as this rapping monkey. I want to just fly his jetpack around the city and just whatever he's doing, I want to be in it.
Also very vertical. Like the world was a very vertical world. It's all
like jungle mixed with
like a city metropolis type of stuff.
Yeah, but like very like jungle-esque. Kind of reminded me of an adult Zootopia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like, because this game is not child friendly. No. At least not from what the trailers have shown.
Sure. Yeah.
But it looked very cool. It looked it just, I think the reason I was so excited for it and am still excited for it is there's really nothing else like it out there.
True.
Like, yeah. I mean, it kind of gives me like Jack and Daxter kind of vibes.
That
like
was wild, yeah.
Yeah, but like even more adult, even more like...
A lot more adult, more in depth.
Yes.
As far as
very space heavy.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for it. I honestly do not think we're going to see this game anytime soon.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah.
And is it Ubisoft?
Yeah.
Who is the... Oh, yeah. That also gives me both fear and excitement. There's fear that it's going to get some form of repetition that's going to be annoying because, they're kind of known for copying and pasting. We've talked about it before. They like to copy and paste a lot of their games.
Yeah.
And it's like they take a good game, they copy and paste it, which I know I talked about Spider-Man earlier, saying I'm glad they, quote unquote, made it the same. But they do it to the extent where it's like, oh, okay, this is literally almost the same game, just like a different guy I'm playing as.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that this is the game that breaks that.
Yeah.
At least as far as what they do on a pretty big scale. I hope this game breaks that trend, that it's not some type of copy and paste. Mm-hmm. There's not just like in the Assassin's Creed games, there's always some type of tedious thing where it's like, go here, go here, go here, go here, go here.
It's just a bunch of points of
and you do the same thing every time. And even sure, I know that collectibles are typically very once you find one, they're very similar. Mm-hmm. I get that, but when missions are also just this is just the same and the same, and not even side missions, main missions are very repetitive.
Yeah.
In their games, at least for Assassin's Creed, and it's man. This needs to be their Cyberpunk. This needs to be their Witcher.
The next magnum opus. Yeah,
it has that potential because it looks so dope.
Yeah, it does.
It screams open world RPG. You just get those Red Dead or Witcher vibe. You could just you just see it and you're like, yes, this is what we want, and that could be why they're very
this needs to go
this isn't out yet. Yeah,
yeah, it's possible. I think you're absolutely right. I really like Ubisoft. I really like a lot of their games, but over the recent years, to your point, a lot of their games just seem very B tier. Yeah. We're just kind of copying what other studios are doing, but in our own style that is not as good.
And you just played Assassin's Creed, right?
Yes, I just downloaded Assassin's Creed Origins probably about a month ago because I just needed a game to play.
Was that your most recent Ubisoft game?
Yes, that was my most recent Ubisoft game. I kind of for some reason had an urge to jump back into Assassin's Creed.
Sure, I get that too.
And I was like, I've heard great things about Odyssey, and I was like, it looks like it's taking more ideas from The Witcher, and I was like, this could be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I decided I would start at the beginning of the new setup, the new gameplay style with Origins. And I played it, and I really enjoyed it. I love the hard work those teams put into the lore of whatever time period they're going into. I think I spent more time actually in the tour portion of the game, just learning about Egyptian mythology and their practices and cultures. And I was like, wow, they put so much time and effort into this, and it's beautifully done. It's beautifully crafted.
And visually, too, is nice.
Yeah, visually, it looks great. I mean, it's a very beautiful game. But to your point, the gameplay is just it was just so repetitive, and it kept me entertained for 10 hours, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I like the fighting style. I like the main character. The story's not great. It seems very choppy. It seems very I don't even know the right words to describe it. It just feels very rushed, and it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of depth to it. But to your point, every point of contact, every kind of area to explore on your map, you go there and it's just the same thing every time. Synchronize, clear out the area, find the loot, move on.
Yep.
And it got so old, and the map was huge. And apparently, like, Odyssey or Valhalla is going to be like twice as big as Origins, and I was like,
that's intense.
Why? And that's my problem is, like, why do you make a game huge if you don't have it lived in or have it with enough differences to make it worthwhile?
Yeah, you don't fill it in or anything.
Right. Night City, like, they've already announced this. Cyberpunk is going to be a smaller map than Witcher was. And I kind of applaud them for that. I'm kind of glad that the game is literally just this city and then a little bit of the outskirts. Like that's all we need, because the story is there. Yeah. It's intricate. It's defined. Every single step has something new to explore. And in Origins, it just felt very bare. Like, other than the NPCs that you can talk to for the side quests and stuff. Yeah. And I was just like, and maybe it was Origins. Maybe I would feel differently if it was Odyssey, but honestly, from what I've seen, that's not the case.
Yeah, when you have a lot of world and a lot of empty, that's where the negative reviews come. Yeah. Because even if the non-empty parts are great, when you're reviewing a game, you still have to acknowledge those that, the parts that are like, hey, I traveled around here, nothing happened. Why is that even a thing? And so that hurts. That hurts your opinion of the game. That's what makes things boring. And so it is nice that Cyberpunk is focusing that, in a way, anywhere that you are on the map is going to have some type of content to be remembered. Whether it's like, I walked past this building and I remember the funny sign that was out there, or, oh yeah, if you go down this street, there's a funny dude on a bench that just yells at you. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's not like oh yeah, I just kind of walked down that corridor and it was kind of boring. Yeah. They're hoping to not have something like that, but it'd be interesting to see.
Maybe I'll play a remastered version of one of the older games or something. I don't know.
Oh, the Assassin's Creeds?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but those are great.
Yeah.
1 and 2 are really good.
But speaking of remasters, see, I can do it too.
There you go.
And we got into the release, the big release of this week, I would say.
So we have Mario. It's called All Stars.
Yeah. Let me get the full name here. I think it's like Super Mario 3D All Stars, I think is the main.
We got Mario 64.
Yep.
Mario Sunshine.
Yep.
And Super Mario Galaxy.
Super Mario Galaxy.
Good segue.
Dude.
I was proud of it. That was a good one.
It wasn't as good as yours, but
come on.
I'll accept
it was good. Folks listening in, I bet you're loving it right now. Max, tell us about the amazing game that released today, the 18th.
Yes, today, Super Mario 3D All Stars.
Ooh, good job, you called it.
Yeah, I thought I had it right, by the way.
Just want to double check.
I want to make sure. I don't want to get in trouble here. Yeah, man. I mean, what can I say? I mean, these 3 games, arguably 2 of them are masterpieces. But all 3,
which 2?
But all 3 are great games. I mean, come on. Super Mario 64 and Super Mario Galaxy are masterpieces. In my personal opinion, this is my personal opinion. Yeah. Galaxy is probably my favorite Mario game of all time. I've played it at least 3 times on the Wii, all the way through. Mm-hmm. And also, not only can you beat the game as Mario, for those of you that don't know this and are going to get this game, get hyped if you're Luigi fans, because if you play the game and get all 120 stars in Super Mario Galaxy, you can then replay the game again as Luigi.
Oh, that's cool.
And collect all 120 stars again.
See, I've never played the game. I've played Sunshine, then I played 64 on the 64 during the time of me not really knowing what video games were and that they had plot and an end. Mm-hmm. So I only played the world that had the big bomb guy. Yes. I think it was like the first one. I raced a penguin a couple of times.
Yep.
And that's all I remember.
Those are, I mean, honestly, those are the 3 worlds that are the most memorable of 64, I would say.
It did its job.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The games are beautiful. They look great. I will say, Super Mario 64, from what I've seen, they didn't really enhance the graphics of it. It's still in that weird ratio of like, is it 4:3?
Yeah, for 64 it's 4:3.
Yeah, 4:3.
The rest are 16:9.
Yeah. So I thought that was a weird choice. Of course, it would probably stretch it out to make it look really awkward and blocky even more than it already is. The textures, the writing looks a lot more tight, which is good.
Dialogue boxes and stuff are clean.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Super Mario 64 is the one I'm most excited to replay because it's been years. So I played Super Mario 64 when I was a kid, and so I don't think I kind of look back on that sometimes, like even in the PS2 days when like I played a game and I enjoyed it, but I don't think I was able to truly appreciate it for what it was because my mind wasn't sharp enough to understand everything, and so I'm very excited to replay it to just kind of
relive and experience.
Yeah, re-experience these levels because honestly, I'm the same as you, man. I really just remember the Bomb Hill, Thwomp's Castle, and then Easy Breezy Peak or whatever with the penguins, and you save the penguin baby or kill the penguin baby, depending on if you want to throw it off the cliff. Yeah, which is terrible. And yeah, so I'm excited to replay that one. And then there's Super Mario Sunshine, and I feel like Super Mario Sunshine is like the black sheep of the family. Like like this game, it's the only Mario. It's like the only Mario game to have like full audio narrative. Like there are cutscenes with like actual spoken word.
That's right.
For every character except Mario, who only says only says like his one or two lines. But yeah, it's so weird. Like even remembering the game. You literally crash land on this Hawaii-based island called Isle Delfino, and you're framed by Baby Bowser as this defacer and this like person that's just completely ruined this beautiful island.
Sun from these people.
Yeah, the sunshine sprite. And you get jailed. There's a trial. There's a trial in the first 5 minutes of the game, and you get jailed, and then you are basically told to do community service to work off your jail time,
debts.
Which is honestly hilarious, but it just felt so out of left field for this game. But I kind of love it. I feel like GameCube was kind of the weird, like edgy.
For sure.
I feel like out of all the Nintendo consoles, GameCube was the edgy one.
They tried some fun things.
Yeah, they kind of. It was like they saw, and I could be completely wrong. I think Xbox came out around the same time, and it was like GameCube was like trying to like. Kind of grab some of that edginess.
Like, hey, look at us, we're cool too.
Yeah, we can throw Mario in jail. We're cool. But yeah, like I really enjoy Sunshine. It's beautiful. I love the areas. It just never felt like you are fully in control of Mario as you are in 64 and in Galaxy or in Odyssey even, because your movement and the way to beat these levels for the most part, is completely reliant on the FLUDD.
Yeah.
And the FLUDD is not always the easiest thing to control.
No, not at all. There was like the rocket thing, like a weird
the hover.
The hover, and then the main nozzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it was
half
cool.
the time you were like falling off and then using your hover thing to pray that you get back to where you were. Because you're like, what the heck? How did I slide off this stupid thing?
Yeah. And so I'm excited to replay that one too. Because honestly, I haven't played that one since I was in middle school. I feel like, and I could be totally wrong, but I feel like the delay in button pressing is not going to be an issue this time around, which will make it easier. Overall, I'm very excited to replay these three games. These games are probably going to keep me busy for the next few weeks until October.
Yeah.
I will say, though, from what I've seen, a lot of people are upset that it's very bare bones. Like, it's literally you put in the game, if you buy it physical, digital, whatever, you start it. Mm-hmm. And it's just a main menu where you select which of the three games you want to play. It's a cool visual of the main menu to kind of show you, like, Mario 64, Sunshine, Galaxy. But then you press the one you want to play, you get into the game, and it's the exact same game. There's no added material. There's no enhanced...
Very emulator kind of style.
Yeah, very... And people were kind of upset by that. I still think it's worth the $60 price point. I mean, these games are worth that amount, in my opinion.
At least as a collective goes.
Yeah. And honestly, I think the thing that's most exciting is Galaxy is 2-player. If you want, like one person can control Mario and one person can control the star icon that was what collected the little star bits in the areas. It's very reminiscent to how you can play 2-player for Odyssey, where one of you is Mario and one of you is Cappy.
Yeah.
And some of the best times playing video games was with my wife, Ruthie, playing Super Mario Odyssey for weeks on end, and completely. I think we completed that game with all 999 moons. Don't ask me how long it took us. It took us forever. I almost wanted to throw the controller sometimes. It was so hard, but it was fun because we both got to play together. And she, not being someone who likes platformers as much and not having a lot of history with them, had a good time playing as Cappy because she felt like she was interacting with me and helping me beat these levels. Yeah. And so the fact that we can do that together with Galaxy makes me excited to replay it.
Yeah, it'll be fun to do. I think I'll probably save Sunshine for last. May not even get to it, truthfully. I'm most eager for Galaxy because I never had a Wii, so I didn't play it. And then I sometimes have a hard time playing older games for like graphic reasons, unless they're like kind of nostalgic games for me. Yeah, like I can still play Sly Cooper, Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter on like the PS2. I still love Mario. I still love playing like Earthbound on the NES, or the Super NES. I can play those games because that's what I was playing before. But when it comes to a game I've never played, like I didn't play the first Final Fantasy game. Right, like Final Fantasy 1 in the NES. I tried, and I just like couldn't get into it. And then like Mario 64, I've tried to get back into it, but I just can't for some reason. I don't know what it is. I usually just have a hard time with older games. So I'm gonna give it a try though. Definitely Galaxy first. Get that played through. I'm eager to play 64 because now that like I have a little bit more knowledge on platformers and a knowledge that a game has a start and a finish, I'm excited to actually like play through it with more experience and like more knowledge and awareness of what a game is, to see kind of like this masterpiece that people always talk about. Yeah. So I'm excited about that. And then I'll probably save. I don't even know how many times I've played Sunshine, to be honest. I played it a lot. That was the first big Mario game that I owned, so I've played the heck out of it. And honestly, at this point, I don't really need to play it again to feel satisfied. So that'd probably be my order. Probably go Galaxy 64 and then maybe get to it. But honestly, with Cyberpunk coming, I don't even know when I'll buy the Mario thing, to be honest. We'll see how that goes.
That's fine. Yeah, I did want to make one last point before we wrap up. I was wrong. There is actually one extra feature that comes with the games, and one that I'm actually very excited for, is you get each of the games' soundtracks. That you can just play on.
They do it like Smash Bros. Did.
Yeah, and you can just play them on your system, so you could just have them playing in the background at your house, like if you're having like a cool hangout. Like Calling All Nerds party or something.
That's right.
Listen to the podcast.
Maybe you're doing laundry or something.
Doing laundry is a great one. And you can just listen to these amazing tracks. Like I cannot praise enough, especially Galaxy with that full orchestra. These songs in all three games, beautifully done, beautiful soundtracks. Please listen to all of them. Everyone that buys this game, like these songs are so good. This is not a game that you just want to turn down the volume and listen to us on a podcast on. These are games that you want to like experience the music
for sure. And there is actually, I just want to backtrack one thing. I forgot to mention this. They did release at Night City Wire the specs for PC.
That's right.
I forgot about that. So we can just wrap this up. I'll just kind of briefly go over these ones. So for the minimum requirements, you can actually play it on Windows 7, which is kind of cool. So you need an Core i5 3570K and an AMD FX 8310. You just need 8 gigs of RAM, pretty standard. And then the crazy thing that I thought, well, actually, the processor's a pretty low processor. The graphics card wise, they're saying you actually can get away with a GTX 783 gig. So the 780, I don't even know the release date on the 780. But so they had the 780 series, then they had the 980 series, and then the 1080 series, and then the 2080 series, and now they're in the 3080 series. So that just gives you an idea of like how far back the 780 is. I was very surprised that's like the minimum specs for it. And then for their recommended, it's about the same, a little bit more of a stronger i7, 4790, and then a Ryzen 3 3200G, which is a pretty good, like, get into gaming kind of CPU.
Yeah.
Memory was about 12 gigs of RAM, and then they're saying a 1060 6 gig graphics card, or a Radeon R9. And so what this is, so a 1066 gig would be now 2 iterations before, and the 1060 was already outclassed by like 1070 Supers, 1080 Supers, 2060s, 2070s, 20. Like, there's a lot of cards that can actually top this 1060. So that's why I was very surprised that the recommended specs are low, because I don't also think that means it's limited.
Right.
So I think that, like, hey, we recommend you this. You can play our game in a beautiful way. If you have more, you'll just play the game in more beautiful of a way.
Yeah.
Probably maybe like higher frames. You'll probably be able to like render things better. But I think this is cool that they did it this way, because I just feel like from a PC perspective, consoles out of the picture. From a PC perspective, you can play this game on a lot of systems, laptops or desktops. You know, Max mentioned how he's getting a PC soon, and his is equipped with a 2070, and it was a pre-built laptop. And for the price that he got it for, technically your specs blow this one out of the water. The way that your graphics card's like kitted, you have like a 10th gen i7, which is crazy. You have plenty. I think we got you 16 or 32 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, I think it was 16.
So you have that.
Yeah.
You have an SSD hard drive already because it's a laptop. And your 2070 that you're getting kitted is definitely outdoing the 1060 that they have.
I'm so excited.
So it's like, to me, it's kind of cool that
this might have to be like my first PC game.
Well, and the fun thing too that you can still do if you're wanting to, how I was telling you before, you know, PCs can hook PlayStation controllers up. They can hook Xbox controllers up. Because some people don't really like a keyboard feel, and I get that. You know, some people just don't like mouse and keyboard. So you still can have a wireless controller hooked up, and you can just HDMI into your TV, and it'll be like you're on a console. You know, so yeah. So that's the one thing I just kind of want to throw out there. The specs for this game are pretty small, and I think it's great because that just means more and more people are going to play games, which is what we love. But I think that is it. I think it's going to wrap this thing up.
I think that's it. Why don't you plug your awesome social medias?
So, if you guys are interested, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and my Twitch channel. Mr. T Nader is my stuff. Wherever I post this, probably YouTube, I'll put links to that. We're going to work on Max to get him some things for sure. But yeah, if you ever want to see me live on Twitch, it's just /Mr. T Nader. I appreciate anybody who listens to this. That's not me or Max.
And I did want to say, to Tyler's point, I am not on social media, if at all. If you do want to follow me and be one of my 200 followers that I have for some reason, you can find me at MadMax528, where you can see pictures of my beautiful wife and child and random pictures that I get tagged in. So that's there.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate everybody that's listening in. I hope you enjoyed the very first episode of Calling All Nerds. And I think with that, I'll bid you all adieu.
Adieu.